Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. The health and safety of our community and staff members are at the forefront of our minds as we continue to navigate county business in light of the COVID-19 pandemic and the smoke that has unfortunately been with us now for a week. In accordance with the declaration of emergency announced on March 11th and extended by the Board of Multnomah County Commissioners on July 2nd, today's meeting is being held virtually. To align with physical distance guidelines, some rules associated with Board of County Commissioner meetings will be temporarily altered. I do want to remind everyone that we've resumed public testimony for our Thursday board meetings. This means that members of the public can provide testimony on both agenda items and on non-agenda items, either from electronic device through the WebEx platform or by calling into the meeting from a phone. People can continue to submit written testimony as well. Folks can sign up or submit testimony by going to multco.us, find the About Board Meetings link, and click on the virtual public testimony form. Please remember to mute your mic when you are not speaking, and before you present, make sure that your mic is unmuted and that your camera is on. May I have a motion on the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Jayapal moves. Commissioner Stegman seconds. Approval of the consent calendar. The board clerk will now take a roll call vote.
Commissioner Myron?
Aye.
Commissioner Jayapal?
Aye.
Commissioner Vega-Peterson?
Aye.
Commissioner Stegman?
Aye.
And Chair Kafoury?
Aye. The consent calendar is approved.
Opportunity for public comment on non-agenda matters. This is the time for the board to hear public testimony, not for board deliberation. When it is your turn to speak, I will call your name and unmute you. I will set a timer when you begin speaking and announce when your time is up by saying time, at which point please wrap up your sentence. When you're done with your sentence, I will place you back on mute. Madam Chair, we received 2 submissions for public testimony, which have been shared with board members and staff. Our first public testimony is from Dexter Gauntlet. Dexter, I'm going to unmute you. Just one second. Dexter, can you speak?
Hello, testing.
Great, yes, we can hear you.
Great.
Good
Can I
morning.
request 4 minutes and 30 seconds instead of 3 minutes, please?
I'm sorry, we have a 3-minute limit. We did receive your your written testimony though, and we will be able to read what you are unable to finish.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome to begin, Dexter.
My name is Dexter Gauntlet, and I've lived in Portland for 15 years, working in clean energy and social justice in the U.S. and overseas in private and nonprofit sectors. I'm proposing a joint city-county resolution calling out the president's fascism, condemning all sources of violence, and calling for ensuring voting rights at the city and county level. Due to the 3-minute time constraint, I'm going to skip over parts in the middle of this resolution and skip to the declaration at that time. I begin with the introduction to the proposed resolution. The City of Portland and Multnomah County declare that undemocratic and illegal activities orchestrated by the President of the United States threaten our city, our region, our state, our nation, and these activities must serve as a wake-up call and justifies preemptive action, resources, collaboration, and new approaches to upholding voting rights, free and fair elections, and the rule of law. The resolution anticipates escalating undemocratic activities by the president up to the election and embraces the role of cities, counties, and states to provide leadership in collaborating across geographies to prevent a road to fascism. In line with Oregon U.S. Senator Jeff Merkley and Ron Wyden, who quote said, "The violent tactics deployed by Donald Trump and his paramilitary forces against peaceful protesters are those of a fascist regime, not a democratic nation," end quote. And in line with Portland City Mayor Ted Wheeler's letter calling out Trump's, quote, "politics of division and demagoguery," end quote, and, quote, "reckless disregard for human life," end quote, this resolution resolves the president's actions amount to tyranny and calls out fascism before it starts. Furthermore, the city and county must define and articulate its own actions, motives, and goals, or it will be inaccurately labeled by others seeking to discredit the city and county, despite its leadership on countless important issues. Portland and Multnomah County are home to many firsts in the advancement of social and environmental issues. And while the city and county seek transformation and equity, policing, and affordable housing, none of these initiatives are able to be advanced if elections are not protected and the president is not held accountable for his authoritarianism and disregard for the rule of law. We'll skip part of the following recitals. Whereas the president was impeached by the U.S. House of Representatives for abuse of power and obstruction of Congress, whereas the president supports unlawful detainment of citizens by the federal agents as detailed by Oregon Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum, whereas the president consistently makes false and misleading claims and actively supported violence and intimidation of political opponents, including as recently as recent Attorney General's threat toward the Seattle mayor. Skipping now ahead to the end, whereas, quote, anarchist or, quote, Antifa or any other organization in name or cause or individual that resorts to violence is not representative of the city of Portland and Multnomah County, but instead only aids fascism promoted by the president. Declared, now therefore be it resolved, City of Portland and Multnomah County condemn the president's activities in Portland and beyond as fascist and not consistent with American values. Be it further resolved, the City of Portland and Multnomah County will work together to shore up voter rights and improve mechanisms by which people vote in elections, including voter registration, vote casting, and vote counting in Oregon, and produce a set of recommendations for expanding voter turnout. Be it further resolved, the City of Portland and Multnomah County will proactively assist other cities, counties, and states that are interested in expanding mail-in voting systems and other activities that expand voter turnout. But be it further resolved, finally, the City of Portland and Multnomah County urges other cities, counties, states, businesses,
Dexter, your time is up. Thank you.
Organizations in Oregon and beyond to enact similar.
The next person we have signed up is not in the call. Their name is Frida Mitchell, and I sent their testimony sign-up form. Shall I
Thank
move
you,
on?
Marina. And I want to thank Dexter for having the honor of being our very first public testimony in the new process. And we apologize for being somewhat impersonal, but we are very happy that you joined us this morning. We appreciate your comments.
R1, authorizing settlement of workers' compensation claim for Rick W. Wallace.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner Vega-Peterson moves. Commissioner Stegman seconds. Approval of R1. Do we have Michelle Cross? Amber? I'm not sure who's talking this morning.
Good morning.
Okay, sorry.
Michelle, are you there? Okay, I'm not sure if Michelle's here.
I think I unmuted. Did I unmute?
Yes, we hear you now.
Muted. Good morning, Chair Kafori and Commissioners. Apologize for that. I'm kind of in this low-tech mode right now. Amber McMurray, Michelle Cross, Risk Services Manager, and Amber McMurray, Workers' Comp Program Manager, are here today asking for board approval of a workers' compensation settlement with Deputy Rick Wallace. His injury was from 2014, and through the course of the workers' comp benefit process, both parties agreed that a settlement was in the best interest to move on, and we are now asking for approval. Amber can speak to some details if you have some questions.
Good morning.
Oh, go ahead.
Good morning. I'm Amber McMurray, the Workers' Compensation Program Manager. And as Michelle stated, this is for a workers' compensation settlement for Deputy Rick Wallace in the amount of $150,000. If you have questions regarding the details, please let us know.
Thank you. Thanks, Amber. Marina, did we receive any public comment, public testimony on this item?
No, Madam Chair.
I'm going to call on commissioners by district to see if anyone has questions or comments, and we will start with Commissioner Myron.
Thank you, Chair. I do not have any questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Jayapal?
No questions or comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Vega-Peterson?
Thank you, Chair. I don't have any questions.
And Commissioner Stegman?
No questions. Thank you, Chair.
All right, seeing no questions or comments, if the board clerk would please take a roll call vote.
Commissioner Myron?
Aye.
Commissioner Jayapal?
Aye.
Commissioner Vega-Peterson?
Aye.
Commissioner Stegman,
Aye.
Chair Kafoury.
Aye. The settlement is approved.
R2, public hearing and resolution establishing fees and charges for Chapter 27 and 29, Community Services of the Multnomah County Code and repealing Resolution Number 2020-023.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Stegman moves. Commissioner Vega Peterson seconds. Approval of R2.
Good morning, Chair Kafoury and commissioners.
Good morning, Ian.
I'm Ian Cannon. I'm the Director of the Transportation Division in the Department of Community Services. And with me, although it's not quite the same if you're not sitting at the table next to each other, but is Jessica Berry, who's the manager of our Planning and Development Division or work group. So this morning we're going to be talking about increasing some fees in our transportation and plan and development program. And that program is responsible for reviewing all the proposed developments along county roads and also for permitting work in county roads and rights of way. A lot of the fees that we're talking about haven't been updated in over 20 years, and some of the fees haven't been updated since they were created around 40 years ago. But clearly, the cost of doing the work has gone up. So right now, the program is recovering about 30% of the cost of issuing these permits. With the fee update, the program will recover about 70% of the cost, so getting closer to cost recovery. And this will equate to about $85,000 a year in, over a full fiscal year in recovered costs. When we don't recover the costs for the development, when they're not charged to the applicant, then these charges go to our regular transportation budget, so the regular users are paying for those instead of the developers. So, this fee update is particularly timely as we look for ways to save costs or to offset costs across our division as we've seen a big decline in our gas tax revenue. And with that, I'll let Jessica provide a few more details.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Commissioners and Chair Kafoury. I'm Jessica Berry. I'm the Transportation Planning and Development Manager. As Ian mentioned, the Planning and Development Program does review all developments along our right-of-way for transportation impacts and permits work that happens in our right-of-way. These fees are set out in County Code Chapters 27 and 29, and they include things like reviewing single-family dwellings, usually in our rural areas, more multifamily or mixed-use development in our urban areas. So reviewing the transportation impacts of those, having requirements associated with them. Also permitting work like special events or sidewalk panel replacement, driveway permits. So permitting that kind of work in our right-of-way. And as Ian mentioned, a lot of these costs haven't been updated since they were created. And the work associated with doing them, the complexity of the review process and the permits themselves has increased over time. So over the past year and a half, we've been looking at how to increase those fees. So Allison Boyd, our senior transportation planner, did an analysis of the cost of the work that we're doing, like how many hours it takes for an inspector or an engineer or a planner to do the work, and then compared it where possible around the region of the similar requirements in other jurisdictions. And so what we came up with was a list of fees that don't get us all the way to cost recovery, as Ian mentioned, but are closer to cost recovery and also sort of consistent with what it costs to do the similar work around the region. And in doing that, we also created a web page, and we let our partner agencies, the cities of Fairview, Troutdale, Wood Village, where we have roads, we let them know we were doing this work. We created an online form for feedback, and we put links in all of our emails so that people would know that we were going to be raising the fees. And that's been on our website for about 4 months now. And to date, we've still only received one comment, and that comment did support us raising the fees. I think in general, people understand the importance of development and of work in right-of-way paying for itself, and that influences our ability to protect the county assets. So we see this as a really good opportunity and a good time to be doing the work, as Ian mentioned, as we look for ways to offset the costs of the work that we do in this program. And then finally, I'd like to mention that we're also right now working on getting new permitting software that's going to be easier for applicants to use and also just improve our process and our efficiency. So we see an opportunity to also get better cost recovery without raising these fees again for a little while we look at implementing that software. So with that, I think I'm done with my presentation. And again, the ask is to adopt by resolution these fee updates in Chapter 27 and 29. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian, and thank you, Jessica. That was very thorough. Appreciate all the details. Marina, did we receive any public testimony on this item?
No, Madam Chair.
Great. Well, I'm going to call on commissioners for questions or comments, and this time we are going to start with Commissioner Stegman.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Jessica and Ian. I did have a couple of questions. So, Ian, you mentioned that we were at about a 30% cost recovery, and hopefully we'll be closer to 70% now. So obviously, if you do the math, that's like a 40% increase. So is that fair to say that we're having about a 40% increase in those fees across the board?
Jessica, do you want to tackle that?
Sure. It actually varied by permit. So some permit fees are increasing by more than that percentage and some are increasing by less. There were a couple of fees that we lowered because they weren't taking as much time or resource. So it really varies depending on the type of permit.
Okay, so I guess what I'm looking for, are there any, drastic increases? And if so, what could you talk about that?
Sure. One of our increases has to do with our reviews of permit applications. So we charge for something called a transportation planning review. And we have every kind of review we get, we've charged $56. What we're finding is that it doesn't take into consideration the nuance of whether or not that's multifamily residence or just somebody moving their barn from one side of their property to another. So what we did was we increased that fee, just that one alone, to cover the cost of an hour of a planner reviewing that to see what the impact is. And then for some applications, there would be an additional fee of $500 for that review. And that really that includes the time it takes for us to write a legal description and record right-of-way dedication and deed restriction and things like that. So what we were finding is we just weren't capturing that at all. And now we have a way of reviewing things and seeing if we need to capture more of the cost recovery and having that increase just for those
Great,
permits.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. And then the other question I have is there a mechanism for us to keep up with inflation or the cost of doing business so that we don't, have to make these large leaps in the future?
So the land use planning program updates their fees, has a fee update every year. And we actually want to get on that same schedule with them. This doesn't propose to do that right now because as we implement the new permitting software, we're going to have a better sense of what it really costs to do this work. And I wouldn't want to set a fee that goes up every year until we know if it really is reflective of the time we're spending on it. So I anticipate that we would put this on that same schedule and bring them all at once in future years.
Great. That's great, Jessica. And then the last question, I'm wondering, I appreciate you mentioned that the kind of the public outreach was on our website. And while I appreciate that, I'm wondering, sometimes I'm challenged with how to better communicate with all of our jurisdictions. And I'm wondering, was, direct outreach, emails, contact made to various cities in our county?
Yeah, yes, with regard to outreach to the cities, we met with staff and we let them know. And I think we mentioned it once or twice at the East Multnomah County Transportation Committee. And I think we gave them the opportunity to post about it on their web pages as well.
Excellent. Good work. Thank you.
Commissioner Baker-Peterson.
Thank you, Chair. Ian and Jessica, I just want to thank you for all of your work on this. I know that figuring out how to take a look at the fees that we're charging to provide services and figuring out really what's the most equitable and what works well, along with balancing the need to try to have some kind of cost recovery built in or a plan for that is difficult work. And I just appreciate the work and the outreach you've done. There was a JPAC meeting earlier this morning, and there was an interesting conversation around congestion pricing, but it was also noted by one of the speakers that our roads are really one of the only things that we don't have kind of a use fee on, and really trying to factor how you can bring that a part of the transportation package is interesting. And I know that this is just one piece of it where we do actually have more of a fee for service model, but I think it's a good chance to have this conversation as we're really looking at the impacts of transportation funding overall in light of COVID and our long-term needs to fund transportation in a sustainable way. So I appreciate the work on this and I appreciate the outreach that you've done in getting us to this point today.
Commissioner Jayapal.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I too just want to thank you, Ian and Jessica, for the work, and really so thoughtful and granular. And I think one of the signs of that is that you mentioned that we've actually reduced fees in some areas, so that we're really be careful that what we are doing is true cost recovery. It's not as if these are revenue generating services for us. We're just trying to get back a portion of what it takes to provide the service. And that's a really careful and responsible thing to do as we steward our public dollars. So thank you very much.
Commissioner Myron.
Thank you, Jessica and Ian. And I think my fellow commissioners have said it all. I really appreciate your work on this. It makes sense, and I have no questions or comments.
Thank you. And I'm not sure if the team mentioned this or not, but I will do it again. I think it bears repeating that as part of the analysis too, we look at what our partner agencies and jurisdictions are charging so that we're keeping in line with, keeping it somewhat of a consistent level so that we are not way out ahead or we're not way behind. And I think that helps us get a clearer understanding as well as of the true cost of doing business. The board clerk will now take a roll call vote.
Commissioner Myron?
Aye.
Commissioner Jayapal?
Aye.
Commissioner Vega-Peterson?
Aye.
Commissioner Stegman?
Aye.
Chair Kafoury?
Aye. The resolution is adopted.
R3, Infant Mortality Awareness Month Proclamation.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Vega-Peterson moves. Commissioner Stegman seconds. Approval of R3. Who's kicking us off this morning?
I can go ahead and start. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you all. Good morning, Chair Kafoury, Commissioners Myron, Jayapal, Vega-Peterson, and Stegman. I'm Larisha Baker, Maternal Child Family Health Director with the Health Department, and I'm here this morning with my colleagues and community partners who will each introduce themselves as they present to talk about infant mortality. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to come before you and our community to present this proclamation proclaiming September as Infant Mortality Awareness Month. You know what? Do we have our slides up?
I'll get those up.
Okay, sorry.
We have a lot of patience. There is nothing but having patience and kindness for each other during these times of COVID and smoke and everything else going on. So thank you. I'm really excited to see this panel this morning. It's good to see all of your faces.
Yeah, we have lots to share. There we go. Okay, so we can now move to the second slide, the next slide. Okay, so September is National Infant Mortality Awareness Month, celebrating, highlighting, and bringing awareness to the significance of reaching 366 days of life. To celebrate Day 366, Every Baby Deserves a Chance Infant Mortality Awareness Campaign sponsored by the National Healthy Start Association supports and inspires people from around the nation to take action in support of Healthy People 2020 goal to improve health and well-being for women, men, infants, children, and families. Next slide. So why focus on infant mortality? So with us celebrating Day 366, I thought it would be fitting to introduce you to Ty, whose picture you see there. And Ty is my great nephew, who is also a Healthy Birth Initiatives client. And today, Ty reaches Day 366. His first birthday was just yesterday. And it's important for us to recognize Day 366 because every baby deserves a chance to reach this milestone. We believe every child born deserves to not only reach Day 366, but to also have a healthy start to reach their lifelong full potential. We know that some babies have a better chance of reaching this milestone. We do not want to forget or lose sight of those babies who didn't make it and those that are expected to not make it. So having HBI is such a longstanding culturally specific program serving Black African-American families also allows us to effectively lead with race, giving us permission to push forward with prioritizing people of color, in particular Black African-American people, to improve maternal health outcomes. Next slide, please. So who is most impacted and why? In particular, Black, African American, Native American, Alaskan Native babies have higher infant mortality rates compared to white babies. Black babies have more than 2 times the infant mortality rates as non-Hispanic whites, dying at a rate of 9.7 per 1,000. Black babies are 3.8 times as likely to die from complications related to low birth weight as compared to non-Hispanic white infants. In 2017, Black babies had over twice the sudden infant death syndrome mortality rate as non-Hispanic whites, and Black mothers were more than twice as likely than non-Hispanic white mothers to receive late or no prenatal care. Black babies are born preterm at a rate of 10.3, and Native American, Alaskan Native at a rate of 8.5 compared to white non-Hispanic infants at a rate of 7 per 1,000. By comparison to our national rates, Multnomah County fares better and has more favorable outcomes. However, racial disparities still persist in our community. As we can see in this slide, many factors contribute to health. Early childhood development is influenced by biology, experiences, and environments. Everyone experiences some adversity, but some are exposed to it more than others. And in this case, I'm talking about Black people. Black people and people of color experience higher levels of adversity, including economic and social inequities and racism, creating high levels of toxic stress and less than favorable outcomes, leading to mortality and morbidity. We know that the more positive experiences one has, the better the health outcomes. And I will now turn it over to Violet, and we can move to the next slide, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Violet.
There we go. Had to unmute myself. Good morning, Chair Kafori and commissioners. I first want to thank you as a board of county commissioners for supporting the work of HBI for more than 20 years. HBI is a small but effective piece of the puzzle when it comes to improving the lives of African American women, infants, children, men, and families. When we look at infant mortality, living past day 366, you might wonder, what is this slide all about? We want to make sure our babies have what they need to thrive beyond their first year of life. This shows the areas that have proven to be successful when addressed. It means investing in early care and education, providing comprehensive, high-quality birth to 5 early education programs. Literacy is a huge component addressed with every family while they are in the program. HBI has a relationship with Head Start and Healthy Families to ensure families' needs don't just stop when they graduate from our program. Addressing the social and economic barriers such as poverty, racism, violence, housing, and food insecurity. HBI has a strong community action network made up of clients, providers, health systems, community members, and anyone interested in making the lives of their community better. These barriers are addressed head-on and dealt with at the local level. In building resilience, by providing positive experiences and coach adaptive skills, HBI is a culturally specific African American program and uses evidence-based programs such as nurse-family partnership and parents as teachers. We need to continue working hard to build the skills adults need to become successful parents, fostering an environment that makes it okay to seek mental health and stable, supportive environments. HBI contracts with culturally specific providers in the community so families feel safe when stepping out of their comfort zones to get the help and resources they need. HBI is one of 101 Healthy Start programs across the nation, working to eliminate the risks faced by so many in our nation. As Larisha stated, African Americans have one of the highest rates of infant mortality, and in fact, this is the only reason our program exists. It doesn't matter what your socioeconomic status is. If you are African American, you are at risk. HBI, unlike other programs, is open to all African American, Black, pregnant women living in Multnomah County, because being African American alone means you are at risk. Today, we have three of our wonderful team members who will share their roles that they play in fostering successful outcomes to our community. We have Royal Harris, our fatherhood coordinator, Santia Obi, our nurse case manager, and Diane Clay, one of our community health specialists. Next slide, we can start with Royal. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Royal.
Good morning, Chair Kafori. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Royal Harris. I am the Fatherhood Involvement Coordinator for the HBI program. And within that, my role is to work with African American fathers to make them aware of their role as protective factors for African American mothers during pregnancy, during that critical first year, and as we prepare them to move beyond the program. That includes parenting groups, parent education beyond the traditional, and allowing them to be part of the parenting process and engaging them at every point, and really emphasizing the fact that one of the most important factors to successful birth outcomes and successful development is engaged fathers. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you this morning.
Hi, my name is Santia.
Go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Santia Obi. I'm the nurse case manager with Healthy Birth Initiative. In my role, we do home visiting with moms. We start visiting African American moms during pregnancy, and we continue the home visiting until the baby turns 2. So we do a lot of education with our mom about infant mortality. Example, we talk about safe sleep. We talk about SIDS. We work on smoking cessation programs in pregnancy and after pregnancy. We help moms get access to housing, transportation, medical care, insurance, and we also get them connected with culturally specific mental health counseling so they can address toxic stress. We also do education about preterm and early term delivery, so how to prevent it, example, receiving prenatal care. And we also talk about education about preconception and interconception, so how to remain healthy, doing well checkups, eating healthy, and pregnancy spacing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your work.
Diane, you're up next.
Can you hear me now? Oh, sorry. Hi, I'm Diane Clay. I'm a community health specialist here with HBI. Just to kind of piggyback off of Royal and Miss Santia, I do home visiting with my clients, kind of educating them on the health and development of their children in their home, providing education on safe sleep. We also have a childbirth class that we do. We have prenatal classes. We also, a big piece in our role is the resources and the referrals that we do within the community, making sure our clients have mental health, housing resources, education, and employment, just to overall empower our empower our clients to ensure that not only are they safe, but their children are safe as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're ready to for Susie. Susie, you're up.
Good morning. And
Good morning.
good morning, Chair Kafori and all of you commissioners. And I am pleased to see you healthy. And I am also pleased to get to be a part of this opportunity to support this proclamation. And as many of you know, from the FGC, we have much appreciated the support that you have given to us with regard to how this aligns with the proclamation around FASD awareness. And it is, I believe, 4 years down the road, maybe 5 years down the road, I'm getting old, since you gave us that privilege. And this is indeed FASD International Awareness Month also. So with that kind of alignment, I want to also express my just gratitude for the privilege of being able to not only support this proclamation, but also the HPI and as a partner, and as a very important partner to the Future Generations Collaborative. From the context of the Future Generations Collaborative, many of you are familiar with us, but I think you all understand that we exist to have a collaborative approach to creating healthy communities, and to do so, we understand that at the core of that are the values that we have as traditional people to promote healthy births. And in turn, that requires us to apply our traditional principles and understanding it from, a holistic perspective. So the first model, or the first slide I'd like to look at, is that available? And again, some of you are familiar with this, but when we generated and created our collaborative, we really wanted to understand it from the perspective of the values that are in common across all of our Indigenous communities that are represented within the urban community here in Portland. And so by acknowledging and identifying those core values, then we were able to identify that the voice must come from within the community, and that from that context, then it radiates out through the parts of our multimodal model, which has a kind of pronged approach to creating healthy births. We understand it from the perspective of education, training, and technical assistance. We understand it from the perspective of engagement, and then again, really seeking and reinforcing that consistent input from our community, and then looking at it with through the lens of evaluation, reflection, and research, and then how all of these contribute to our ability to offer policy shifts and change to serve our goals. So from that model, then we are able to radiate out in the next slide a more holistic iteration of what that is, again, with our values at the heart, but how does that radiate throughout our services so that we understand a life course model? So yes, indeed, we are promoting our mission from the FGC is to diminish both the prevalence and the impacts of prenatal exposure to alcohol. But what we understand, it takes back to some of the really important earlier comments that the disproportionate trauma, both neuro and environmental trauma, creates consequences throughout the life course, that if indeed we want to grow healthy babies, we have to grow the healthy generations around that. And so our life course model allows us to understand it from that context of, yes, that goal of healthy babies, but what are we doing throughout the life course at each developmental stage, so that we are doing the very best that we can from, infant, toddler piece through early childhood, through middle childhood, through education, adolescence, all the way through elderhood, so that we can embrace and hold those teachings that do truly bring the past forward to honor and to promote the health of our future generations. So from our project, this invites us to participate in a number of clinically based approaches, but perhaps more importantly, they really, again, reflect the understanding of how we learn as people and how we celebrate the positives, the strength-based approaches to creating resilience and to contributing to our ultimate goal of healthy births and healthy communities.
Thank you, Susie.
Thank you. And thank you again to HBI, and thank you to all of you with the Commission for all that you are doing to holistically contribute.
Next slide, please. So I want to share with you some examples of how we in HBI, Healthy Birth Initiatives, and Maternal Child Family Health participate in ongoing efforts to address both infant and maternal mortality. So this first one, the EOC COVID-19 Community Resource Group, is one that is more recent and one that I just love because I think it's such a good example of how advocacy and partnership work together for the good of individuals. So HBI reported at the EOC work group that Black women were being denied provider approval for blood pressure cuffs to use at home during COVID-19. And this was taken up by partner healthcare systems, and changes were made so pregnant women would be eligible to receive the blood pressure cuffs and the needed training to use them. So the Oregon Health Authority has issued a temporary rule notice allowing women covered by Medicaid the benefit of receiving a blood pressure cuff, and is now looking into making this a permanent change. HBI CAN, the Community Action Network, is led by HBI community leaders who bring issues affecting Black maternal, child, and family health to the community and gather input for structural change. The September meeting focuses on infant mortality and social determinants of health. Our Forward Together partnership. This is a thoughtful collaboration with Forward Together, a national organization that works on policy changes that supports all families and is working to collect BIPOC birthing stories to bring forward for legislative and policy change. The Babies Boosters Rose Community Development Initiative, through a partnership with other community partners, works to make affordable, safe, and supportive housing for families a priority, and in mid and outer Southeast Portland and throughout the Portland metro area. Black Parent Initiative provides services to Black African American communities and supports maternal, child, and family health that includes culturally specific doula, lactation, and parenting services. And then we have the Oregon Health Authority Maternal Mortality Morbidity Review Committee, which is a multidisciplinary committee focused on reviewing causes of maternal death, identifying contributing factors, and determining recommendations to reduce and eliminate preventable deaths. So working with the HBI team will not only have an impact on clients as part of the program, but on all clients and how providers view and engage with them as individuals. We are working directly to improve outcomes for program participants, for not only program participants, but for our entire community. And with that, we are ready to move to the proclamation.
Wonderful. Who's going to be reading the proclamation this morning?
That will be me. My name is Courtney Gilmore, and I am a Healthy Birth Initiative mom, and I'm part of the leadership team as well.
Thank you, and good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. Alrighty, so I will go ahead and start reading the proclamation. Multnomah County is committed to reducing infant mortality and improving the health outcomes for Black and Indigenous mothers and babies through respectful community clinical practices and interventions. And September is Infant Mortality Awareness Month, an initiative that supports and inspires parents from around the nation to take action in support of the goal to improve the health and well-being of women, children, and families. And whereas Infant Mortality Awareness Month is an initiative intended to celebrate infants living beyond their first year of life. And whereas racial inequalities in infant mortality rates persist among Black and African American and Native Indigenous communities in Multnomah County and are the result of barriers in healthcare, employment, and community settings, as well as racial and ethnic discrimination. And whereas Multnomah County recognizes the benefits of building on strengths and wisdom of our communities, raising up needed changes to support health for both babies and mothers, and the importance of reducing racial disparities in healthcare and birth outcome for our babies. And whereas National Infant Mortality Awareness Month provides opportunities for our community to get involved and support Multnomah County Health Department, maternal child family health, and healthy birth initiatives, future generation collaboration, and our partners in Multnomah County, and the opportunity to encourage government agencies, community-based organizations, healthcare systems, and academic institutions to work together to engage in equity efforts in their communities to eliminate disparities in infant mortality in our county.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Courtney. Thank you to everyone who's come to speak today. And now I'm going to call on commissioners to see if they have questions or comments. We're going to start with Commissioner Myron.
Wow, that was so wonderful. I just wish this is one of those, I wish we were there in person to be able to see you and just express our appreciation with warmth and in a more close physical way. But these are not those times. So I just want to thank all of you, Larisha, Violet, Royal, Sansia, Diane, Courtney, and Susie Kirshner. It was so great to see you and hear from you. You have all just described such incredible work that is so effective and so important for those babies, children from birth to 5 years old. And I just feel that this approach is one of the most effective, collaborative, holistic approaches I really can imagine, and clearly can be attributed to your success can be attributed to the incredible work that you've been doing. I do want to I feel very compelled to just mention whenever we talk about the importance of, birth to and those very young ages. I also want to think about the importance of going further upstream in that and addressing the issue of unintended pregnancy and preconception care and the impacts of that on women, on infant mortality, because that is so, those are so impactful and make such a difference. And we want all our kids, all those births who are going into the Healthy Birth Initiative process to have the best chance possible. And so we know if pregnancies are unintended, there's that such a higher risk of all the kinds of issues that face children and face families and leads to increased mortality. So, and this also contributes to intergenerational cycles of poverty and so many of the issues that you're talking about here. So I'd love to continue talking about that with all of you, but really love the work you're doing, appreciate your being here, and hope you're all doing well during these really challenging times.
Thank you, Commissioner Myron. Commissioner Jayapal.
Thank you, Chair. And yes, thank you, all of you, Larisha, Violet, everybody else on the team for bringing this forward. You know, it's so important to highlight the issues that lead to the inequities in infant mortality, particularly for Black families and other families of color. So really appreciate your elevating that and then the amazing work that you're doing to change it. I love the holistic approach. I love the fact that we are talking to dads. I love the fact that we are talking about and to other generations, the multi-generational approach. I love that you've turned the challenge of COVID into an opportunity in things like the cups. I mean, this is something we talk about over and over again, that we're in this incredibly challenging time. And at the same time, through good work, the changes that we've made in response to COVID have led us to changes that are going to be positive for our community, even after we're done with COVID. So thank you. Thank you for your adaptability. Thank you for just a really specific way that you are addressing these upstream problems and creating upstream solutions. Thank you for the work. Thank you for being here. It's great to see you.
Commissioner Vega-Peterson.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to add my thanks to all of you for being here today. I agree. It would be wonderful to all be in the same room, but it was wonderful to hear from each and every one of you about all of the work that's happening to address the higher infant mortality rates in the Black community. And I just wanted to say, like, one of my favorite parts from the resolution today, or from the proclamation today, was talking about the, really embracing the wisdom of our communities and learning from the communities and how to approach the solutions to these the disparities. And I think that is so key to the work that's being done and making sure that it's effective and it's coming from a place where community is involved and community embraces the changes that can happen. And we're seeing this. I mean, the efforts that need to happen, prenatally, in infant, toddler, in early childhood. Obviously, I love the early education piece that was on the slide there for the work I'm doing on Preschool for All. But all of that is part of the continuum that we need to do to continue to support parents, families, and children as we go through this. And I just think the work that the county has been doing in partnership with your organizations, with the Healthy Birth Initiatives, is really powerful, and it's the work that we need to continue to fund and support and grow to make the changes that we want to see. So really happy to support this today. And I did want to give a plug because I know that BPI is having their luncheon on Monday, and so I encourage everybody to go and attend that to support the work they're doing as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Stegman.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Larisha, and all of you who have come to speak with us this morning. This is so important. I can't help but feel for all the medical advances that we have in our society, that obviously far too many women and infants are not receiving the medical care and all the other socioeconomic care that they need to be healthy. Some of the work that I've been working on is around economic mobility, and it's similar to the work that you've all shown, especially when you talk about systemic racism and the trauma and the violence and like the ACEs work. And we know how intertwined what is going on in our world is, and what an impact it has on our physical and our mental health, and especially for Black and Brown communities. So it all starts with awareness, and I just so appreciate you making sure that people understand that this is a huge issue and that we still have a lot of work to do, but that you've accomplished a lot. And by bringing this awareness to us, people can become more knowledgeable and more empowered. So, and I love seeing the pictures. Oh my gosh, your nephew, adorable. So I wish I could see some babies in person, because I really miss seeing kids in these times. But thank you all so much. Great information and great work.
I'd just like to add my thank you and appreciation for all the work that all of you are doing, and how heartwarming and uplifting it is to hear from you this morning. We know that there's just so much that's troubling in our community right now, from COVID to people protesting in the streets due to the racial inequities. And it is the work that you all are doing and have been doing that is actually moving the dial and changing people's lives. So it's so important for us to hear from you this morning, to show the community that there is really good work going on, that we have moms and dads and people who care, community coming together to ensure that all of our babies make that important date of 366 days. So I just want to thank you again from the bottom of my heart for the work that you're doing. And I echo Commissioner Stegman's comments, because you know how much I love babies, and not being able to squeeze any babies right now is really, really, really tough. It might be the toughest thing we're going through. I can't squeeze little babies, especially because my dear staff person, Anna Marie Allen, today she's back working for Multnomah County after her maternity leave, and I haven't had a chance to see that little cutie pie in person. So welcome back, Anna, and thank you all for coming this morning. We will now, Marina, if you would please take a roll call vote.
Commissioner Myron?
Aye.
Commissioner Jayapal?
Aye.
Commissioner Vega Peterson?
Aye.
Commissioner Stegman?
Aye.
Chair Kafoury?
Aye. The proclamation is adopted. Thanks, everyone. Stay healthy.
Thank you. Thank you all for your responses, comments, and definitely your continued support.
Yes.
R4, proclaiming September 2020 as Recovery Month in Multnomah County, Oregon.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Myron moves. Commissioner Vega Peterson seconds. Approval of R4. Good morning, team.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Leticia Staines. I'm the Deputy Director of your Behavioral Health Division. Good morning, Chair Kafoury and Commissioners. We're so excited to be here, both myself, my team, and our invited guests. We are here to talk with you all about Recovery Month. We're so excited about. Multnomah County observes Recovery Month every September. This annual event seeks to increase awareness about recovery from substance use disorders and has been celebrated nationally for over 30 years. This year's theme is Join the Voices of Recovery, Celebrate Connection. We will conclude stories of hope and success, specifically hearing from people who have lived experience of recovery, especially in the midst of COVID and our numerous other pandemics like wildfires and racial injustice. They have sustained healing and hope through connection. While we celebrate Mental Health Month separately in May, we recognize that many people live with both substance use disorders and mental health challenges. So we also take time to recognize the importance of integrated care for people with behavioral health conditions. It is my distinct honor today to introduce our first speaker. His name is Anthony Jordan, and he is the manager of our Addictions and Substance Use Disorder program within our division. And really today, I thought so long and hard about what I wanted to say about Anthony. I could go on and on about his professional accomplishments, which are numerous, his deep personal and professional commitment to the work of recovery, to the work of prevention, really to the work of everything involving addictions. There's lots to talk about there, as well as his incredible work with diversity and equity. But what I really want to highlight is who Anthony is as a person. We were friends long before we got to work together in my current role. And he is someone who really brings light to the darkness. And when we think about recovery and the hope that that entails, when we think about the challenges of addictions, there are dark periods there often for people. And Anthony is someone who is prepared to stand right next to someone and share his light, kind of raise the lantern, show some ways that we can move towards recovery. And for that, we are eternally grateful. Even just this week, when Anthony and I had a phone call about something that was work related, a large part of that phone call was in him investing in a pep talk for me, which I so desperately needed and which I will carry with me. So Anthony, thank you so much for sharing your light with us today and every day that I get to work with you. It's a very special day today for Anthony as well personally. We are celebrating the anniversary of his clean date. So it's very apropos that he is kicking this off this morning and speaking with us about recovery. Thank you, Anthony. Take it away.
Wow. Thanks, Leticia, for those kind words. Chair Kapori and commissioners, I'd like to thank you, first of all, for Acknowledging Recovery Month. I think is one of the most vital parts to give hope to people who are still struggling from this chronic disease, that we really focus on recovery and to give hope to them. So I really want to thank you for that. Like Leticia indicated,
we can't hear you, Anthony. Something has gone awry. Anthony?
It looks like Anthony has a network interruption. I can see it on his panel.
Thanks, Michael. Can someone text him? Oh, there he goes.
What about now? Can you?
Now we can hear you, yes. Nope. Can't hear you any longer if you're talking.
I'm just going to text Anthony.
Thanks, Leticia.
I think in the meantime, Deandre.
Okay.
Oh, awesome. Of course.
Okay.
Thank you, Anthony.
Okay, I apologize. I don't know what happened, and I probably was at my best part of my conversation. So I don't so I don't know what people heard. Was there anything that people heard, or
we just basically heard you say that you were moved by the. So that was after that. It was pretty.
Okay. So I was stating was that today. So today I celebrate that. Every year at this day, I was looking at some pictures last year at this time I was in London, And I went to a meeting in London to celebrate my 28 years, and it was really interesting because I was sitting at this coffee shop thinking about my life and reflecting on my life and what it was like for me on this day, on that day, and today. You know, that day was a real rough day for me. I woke up, you know, really wanting to die, but not having the courage to kill myself. You know, I was at my mother's house and she looked at me with one of her looks and she didn't say anything. She just shook her head. And when she did that, what it was for me is that I knew it wasn't that she was ashamed of me. What she was telling me, that what I felt she was saying, she didn't know what happened to me. And when I felt that, I was saying the same thing to myself, like I didn't know what happened to me. And I remember at that time, I knew that I was at a crossroad. I was either going to go on to the bitter ends, like I had seen a lot of my friends, to the either jails, institutions of death, or that I was going to try to get my life together. And I remember going to the telephone, you know, calling a 1-800 number. And just on the telephone call, I just said, I need help. And they kept saying, what do you need help for? And at the time, I didn't really know, right? And I just kept saying, I need help. And they took my insurance information, and then I end up in treatment in another state in Virginia, Chesapeake, Virginia. And when I went in and I was in detox, I made a commitment that I would never use drugs a day at a time for the rest of my life. And you know, they kept telling me, you can't say that, you can't say that. And I used to tell them, well, I could tell myself every day, no matter if I had money or not, that I was going to use. So I can tell myself I wasn't going to use. And so since that time, I've been disciplined to try to stay clean a day at a time. And, you know I got limited time, but I want to say that the theme of the Recovery Month is about connection. So I moved to Virginia, didn't know anyone, and I got connected with a recovery community who taught me a lot of lessons about how to stay, right? How to stay clean a day at a time, how to connect with people. And what's really interesting, I got into this field through my counselor, who was my treatment counselor, who was working at a treatment center and thought I would make a great counselor. And I ran into her in the grocery store, and she said, I heard you've been doing a lot of good work helping people. And she offered me a job, and I took that job in 1992. And I started my journey in this field in 1992. And I hooked up with people, and I stayed around people who was doing the things that I had always wanted to do. So a lot of the dreams I had before using came back to me. I moved out to Oregon in 1995. With this, I met a woman that was from here, and I moved out here, and then we eventually broke up, and I was out here. But one of the things I had learned, I knew how to connect with a recovery community. I knew how to stay clean, and it didn't really matter where I was at. I knew how to do those things. I had some foundation, and I came here, and I've been here ever since. And you know, for the people who are still struggling, who may hear this, is that it doesn't really matter where you are. It's really what you do. And you know, I've been fortunate and blessed that I've been around some great people who's helped me along the way. You know, I've been able to go back. You know, we talk about lost dreams, and you know, I've been able to get my bachelor's and master's degree. I didn't travel the world since I've been in recovery. I've done a lot of things that I never would ever, you know, thought I would have been able to do. One of the things that's really fascinating that I'm talking to elected officials, like that, the whole idea that talking to elected officials is sort of eerie in some ways. But also I'm thankful to be working at Multnomah County, who I don't have to sort of hide who I am, because me being in recovery is not all that I am. And so I just want to thank you for that. But getting back to the connection piece, I just want to talk about 3 things that I think has been really instrumental to me, that has been significant, not just in recovery, but across my life, that really make connections important. one of it is that we give each other grace. You know, in recovery, we have this thing that we're sort of imperfect people. And so we sort of have to give each other grace. And I think one of the philosophies that we use is progress rather than perfection. And I think that's something that I try to sort of practice every day, that I give people grace, that we all make mistakes and we move along. And I think that that's what connects us. And I think that the other thing that recovery has taught me that I try to incorporate into my life is the idea around relationships, being sort of the therapeutic value by how we help one another, by building relationships, that be the foundation by which we get things done. And unity. And unity has been sort of the fundamental thing that I think that I like to move forward, that we unite around these common cause. In recovery, we unite around the goal of staying clean and sober 24, stay clean a day at a time, right? And so those are the fundamental things that I think I try to incorporate into my life and the practice and try to help others and to embrace. So I just want to thank you for the time that you have given me. Sorry about this sort of technology thing, but I just want to thank Multnomah County for just giving me an opportunity that I can be my whole self in my employment. So thank you.
Thank you so much. DeAndre.
Hey, how you guys doing today? Thank you, Anthony. I really enjoyed your story and your experience. I'm DeAndre Kinjui. I am with the Office of Consumer Engagement. I'd like to thank the chair and the commissioners for having us here. This is always the most exciting time of the year for me. Recovery means the world to me. I would not be where I am and who I am without recovery. I always like to highlight my clean date because it's the most important thing to me. My clean date is August 14, 2015. I just took 5 years last month. And I'm just happy to be alive and clean right now. So I'm excited today. The theme is amazing. Connection is so important. I just want to highlight it before I pass it over to our speaker. More than ever, we need connection right now. We have civil unrest, racism, protests, fires, and COVID-19. And the recovery community has been devastated by these events happening. So right now, I think the solution is definitely connection, and recovery is all about connection. So the speaker I'm about to introduce is a great friend of mine. He has a unique journey and a unique story, different than most. He has navigated the systems over in Africa and in transition, and also navigated the systems over here in America. I call him the big giant. He's a super big, nice guy, and you'll get to know him. So I'm going to introduce Delmar Muhammad.
Hello, everybody. My name is Delmar. I'm a grateful recovering addict. I'd like to thank the chairperson for having us here and the commissioners. And thank you guys for giving me the opportunity for speaking here. And thank you, DeAndre, for asking me to chair this and speak on about my life and stuff. So I appreciate you for that. Thank you. My clean date is 9/16/19. I just celebrated a year yesterday. Feels amazing. It feels super good. I'm grateful for that. I went through the Recovery Mentor Program. I graduated from there. Torrance was my mentor over there. And now I'm on the 4th floor at the ERP program. And I've been there for about like 3-4 months right now. And for me, without Central City Concern, without the Recovery Mentor Program, I would not know where my life is at today. You know what I mean? I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for opportunities like that. Little bit of my background. I'm originally from Somalia. And pretty much I'm in my journey from Somalia to America, and I was 5 years old. My dad took me with his side of the family at the age of 5. I left my mom, my siblings back in Somalia, and then made my journey from Somalia to Ethiopia, and then from Ethiopia, I had to come to Kenya in order to come to America because the government was there and there was paperwork, so I couldn't just I couldn't just leave from Somalia to come straight to America, or from Ethiopia straight to America. I had to go through the process, the journey, and all that stuff. And it's been a journey. I went from riding a truck to Ethiopia, and then from Ethiopia riding a train to Kenya. And I spent in Kenya for about like 3, 4, 5 years, and I was out there and waiting for the paperwork, doing it legally, trying to get here through the process the right way. And we got accepted in. My uncle is the one that first came to America, and he got a job and everything, and made a way for us to come to America, and I'm grateful for that. And when I made it here in Seattle, Washington, like I made my journey from Kenya to Seattle, Washington. I lived there for about 19 years, and for me, I started using at the age of 14. I started drinking and smoking weed at the age of 14. I was doing bad things, skipping school. I hated where I lived. My family like abused me mentally, emotionally, and physically. And I wanted to escape, from reality. I wanted to escape from reality and everything like that. And for me, man, I'm grateful that I didn't die out there. I've been going in and out of the room since I was 18 years old. I'm 32 years old today, like coming up on 33, and it feels amazing. It's just like recovery. What I love about recovery is we're all from different places, different countries, different cultures, different religions, and we can all be in the same room and not want to hurt each other, not want to kill each other. We all have the freedom of speech, and that's beautiful to me, And we all here try to help each other out, trying to love one another, and be there for one another, And for me, I cannot do this by myself. I need other people to help me out, people that went through the struggles, the pain, the trials, and the tribulation that they went through. I need their help. I want them to show me the way out. You know what I mean? And but me staying clean, I'm able to help the next person out that's coming behind me. So life is good today. I just got recently hired at the 4D Dimensional. I'm going to be working there, and it feels amazing. Everything's getting lined up for me, and all of the reason why everything's lined up for me because I'm clean today. Without my clean day, I have nothing. I don't care about my life. I don't care about nobody's life. It's just completely I'm selfish. For me, I went from sleeping in the doorways, sleeping at the shelters, getting gospel mission, eating there in the Portland Rescue Mission, to where my life is at today. And I just recently celebrated a year, and this is just the beginning for me. You know what I mean? And today I'm doing what he suggested. I'm not running on my own wheel anymore. I'm not trying to run my own show anymore. You know what I mean? I'm listening to the people that's been ahead of me, my predecessors like DeAndre, people I look up to and I respect, because I want to be around successful people. I want to be around people that got their life together so that one day I can accomplish that, and I'm just grateful to be where my life is at today, man. And so it's amazing. Recovery is amazing. Thank you. That's all I got.
My name is Lynn Smith-Stott. I'm with the Office of Consumer Engagement. I want to thank Anthony, DeAndre, and Dalmar. I'm always inspired by stories, and you all have given us so many things to celebrate. Chair Kafoury, commissioners, thank you so much for having us today. I too celebrate my recovery anniversary on September 10th, and I'm very grateful for the division and all the support that I've received. The theme of connection is critical to me. I knew nothing about meaningful relationships before getting into recovery, and the quality of my life is totally different as a result, and I'm grateful for that. I'd like to read the proclamation at this point. Before the Board of County Commissioners for Multnomah County, Oregon, proclaiming September 2020 as Recovery Month in Multnomah County, Oregon. The Board of County Commissioners finds Recovery Month is celebrated every September to increase awareness that prevention, treatment, and recovery services are available and effective in helping people with substance use disorders to succeed in achieving their goals for health and wellness. B, the 2020 national theme for Recovery Month is Join the Voices of Recovery, celebrating connection. Connection is essential to recovery now more than ever. People cannot recover alone. The impact of COVID-19 has isolated many individuals from their recovery support and has disproportionately affected Black, Indigenous, and people of color, as well as other marginalized communities. At the same time, we're starting to learn new ways to connect via virtual platforms and increase access to support for people around the world. Recovery Month inspires people to recognize the resilience of individuals in recovery and the value of peer support. Anyone can experience a substance use disorder that may lead to problems at work, school, or at home, and affect the overall wellness of individuals, families, friends, and communities. Everyone deserves to access recovery services, and Multnomah County will continue to invest in culturally specific and responsive recovery programs, including guidance from communities that share a similar lived experience. Oregon has the third highest rate of residents experiencing substance use disorders in the country and ranks 47 in providing access to treatment. Oregon's Alcohol and Drug Policy Commission's strategic plan aims to reduce the number of residents who are untreated. The county supports the commission's plan and our federal and local elected leaders in taking immediate steps to reduce Oregon's untreated addiction rate from 9.5% to 6.5% and increase the state's recovery rate by 25% in 5 years. Many individuals live with both substance use disorders and mental health challenges. Multnomah County recognizes the need for integrated behavioral health treatment and peer support that addresses both substance use and mental health conditions. Behavioral health is vital to overall health and well-being and should be treated with the same urgency as physical health. People experiencing substance use or mental health issues should be able to participate fully in their community and have access to appropriate health care, safe and healthy housing, economic opportunity, and support from community members. Individuals can and do recover. Multnomah County is committed to helping all residents experiencing behavioral health challenges by providing an array of services that are accessible, culturally specific and responsive, and supported by peers. With that, the Multnomah County Board of Commissioners proclaims the month of September 2020 to be Recovery Month in Multnomah County, Oregon. All county residents are invited to celebrate this year's theme, Join the Voices of Recovery, Celebrate Connection, which emphasizes the important role we all play in hope and recovery for individuals, families, and communities impacted by substance use disorders. People can and do recover. There is hope and help available, and we invite all residents to share their stories of hope and recovery in observance of this month, adopted the 7th day of September 2020.
Thank you, everyone who has come this morning to participate in this proclamation. And now I'm going to have the commissioners give their thoughts and questions and comments. So we're going to start this time with Commissioner Stegman.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to all of you, Letitia, Anthony, DeAndre, Delmar, and Lynn, sharing your personal stories. I thought it was interesting. Delmar, I think you said something, or no, maybe it was DeAndre. Somebody said, no, I apologize. It was Anthony who said something about that he was nervous about talking to electeds. And it's really, as an elected, that I'm actually honored to talk to you and to hear your story and your lived experience, because I think that is the only way that we are really going to help people find their recovery. And, your anniversary dates are just so incredible. I was reading, I attended something put on by the Square One Project, and it was about reimagining the social contract. And something that you had mentioned was the celebrating connection. And I think so. One of the speakers talked about something about called the principle of association versus the principle of alienation, and it really talks about our criminal justice system and how we just put people aside or basically cast them away, and how incredibly important it is, especially in the recovery community, for us to lean on each other and to have those mentors and those leaders who have walked in the same path and who have succeeded and are successful. So I love everything that you all said, and it is about progress versus perfection, and I'm so glad that each and every one of you hopefully were able to bring your whole self, and congratulations on all of your anniversaries.
Commissioner Vega-Peterson.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, everyone who was speaking today. It was so great to hear everyone's stories, and I think what struck me the most was really how, well, one, like so many days in September for recovery days, which I've also noticed on Facebook too. So I don't know what it is, but good for September. But also, I just want to appreciate all the work that goes into, I think, every day being in recovery, but just how much I admire the way that you're taking experiences that you've gone through and really paying it forward and supporting people around you to work that path as well. So whether it's your first anniversary or your 5th anniversary or your 29th anniversary, that is that you're holding people together. And I think that's why the thing of celebrating connections is so important, because you know best what that path looks like and are able to help others along that path as well. And I also think that, as we all know, because of COVID, the way that we've come together as community, the way that we found support with each other in the past looks totally different. The chair was talking about like not being able to hold babies, but like all of these things that we all have relied on and taken strength from, and being in community is different now. And I think the work that I've seen in Oregon for the recovery community to go virtual and to really, reach out to folks and try to have those connections has been really incredible. I appreciate the work that's done here at the county so much for this, and I'm glad that we're taking the time to acknowledge this and to celebrate this today. So thank you all for the work you're doing today, for being here, for sharing your stories, and for the work that you're doing to help people along. I think the work that we're doing here to help elevate this, hopefully, people can see this or hear about this and really take it for what they need as well to find the strength to get into recovery themselves. So thank you.
Commissioner Jayapal.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for sharing your stories with us. Congratulations, Anthony. Congratulations on this being the anniversary. That seems so fitting, and congratulations to all of you on your journeys and your clean dates. That theme of connection, it's always critical, and I think, as my colleagues and you have all said, in this time when connection is difficult and different, it seems more important than ever. And it seems more important than ever to share those stories and to show people that recovery is possible, and to show people what these anniversary dates look like and what the journey looks like. So I just really appreciate your being here. I appreciate all of the work that you do, and the way that you, Anthony, using your phrase, bring your whole selves to that work, and by doing that, show other people how to do it as well. Just thank you to all of you so much for the work and for being here and bringing this resolution forward.
Commissioner Myron.
Thank you. Wow, that was such a powerful and meaningful presentation by such an incredible group of people who are doing this work, and that we are so fortunate to have as part of our team at Multnomah County. It really is just incredible. And I loved, Leticia, what you said about Anthony, describing him as someone who brings light to the darkness. You actually all do, but it was funny. Literally, as you said, as Anthony came on and was speaking, I think I saw the first ray of real sunshine make its way through the hazy, smoky, whatever we call air these days, and like lit down on my computer. And I was just like, wow, it really is the light in the darkness. But it is so true. And, just so much of what all of you said was so, so powerful. And I appreciated sharing those personal details about your own path and your own experience, which is what is so important in recovery, and talking about and modeling how you bring your whole self to the workplace. You clearly all were just expressing who you are, and that resonated so deeply. So just thank you all for the incredible work. Congratulations on all of your anniversaries. And I just want to put one plug in. There is an effort afoot at the state level to raise the tax on beer and wine, which has not been raised since the 1970s, I think 1981 maybe, on tax. And as the proclamation, as Lynn read out, we are the third highest rate in substance use disorder, with the third worst in the country in access to treatment. And our beer and wine taxes haven't gone up since the 1970s. Something doesn't compute here. We need those resources to be directed toward access to expand meaningful treatment and recovery services. So this is something I'll be really working hard on, and look forward to connecting with you all about this. It's so important. And thank you to everyone for being here and for the work you do every day.
Yes, thank you all for coming this morning and sharing your stories. Happy anniversary, Anthony, and happy anniversary to all of you. Well, no one would wish the pain and suffering that you have gone through to get to where you are today on anyone else. I am just so thankful that you have taken your experiences, all of you, and turned them into helping others and being a positive role model, because we all know that when you're in your deepest, darkest times, you need to see someone out there who's succeeded to help get you through. We know that addiction touches so many people's lives. I think it's impossible to think of someone who hasn't been affected by a substance use disorder, whether it's themselves, their families, or their friends and colleagues. And as we've talked a little bit about this morning, we know that the COVID-19 pandemic has complicated things even more, and especially for Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities, because isolation is so damaging for those who are in need of treatment or who are trying to maintain their sobriety. As much as we've all become experts in technology, the Zoom, WebEx, whatever, even phone call format, it really makes it more difficult to experience that connection that Anthony talked about, that is so critical to maintaining sobriety. But yet, even in this dark moment, and where things are both dark outside and depressing, the thought that there are people right now in our community who are reaching out and beginning this journey that will ultimately transform their lives. I think you all talked at some point about how great life is today compared to how bad it was in the past. So even though, I find hope in knowing that there are people who at this very moment are reaching out to you and to your peers to say, hey, I'm ready, and help me on this journey. So I'm glad that Multnomah County can be a part of that. I'm thankful that all of you are here this morning. And stay healthy, stay safe. So if Marina would please take the roll call vote.
Commissioner Myron?
Aye.
Commissioner Jayapal?
Aye.
Commissioner Vega Peterson?
Aye.
Commissioner Stegman?
Aye.
Chair Kafori?
Aye. The proclamation is adopted. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we've come to the end of our board agenda, so we have time for board comments on non-agenda items. We will start with Commissioner Myron.
Nothing for me. Thanks.
How about you, Commissioner Jayapal?
Thank you, Chair. I do have one item. I want to mention a letter that I am working on with government relations and will circulate to everybody later today. And this is going to be to the e-board asking for more resources and more transparency around COVID testing for BIPOC communities. You know, this is something we've talked about before. It's come up in our briefings. We know there's a huge gap between the disproportionality with which BIPOC communities are experiencing COVID and access to testing. And using just, one example, in the Latinx community, we know that the positive rates are over 30%. And yet when we look at Multnomah County data, it shows that just 7% of tests conducted are for Latinx folks. And we know that the data is incomplete, but that tells us that there's this huge gap. It's something that I've been working on for a while. I had an op-ed published a couple months ago. Justin and I met with the OHA last week, and now we're proposing a letter that both asks for more resources for testing, specifically for BIPOC communities, and then also suggests a couple of other strategies, including transparency of data. So Multnomah County is well ahead of the curve in terms of publishing who's actually getting access to tests. That data is not available at the state level. We're suggesting that they ought to be publishing that data at the state level, and also for individual labs and hospital systems to figure out who's giving people access to that testing and who's not, and find strategies to make it happen. So that should be coming to you later today.
Thank you, Commissioner, for working on that. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing the draft this afternoon. Commissioner Vega Peterson.
Thank you, Chair. I just have one announcement. I wanted to share that next week on Thursday afternoon from 3:30 to 5, I'm going to be hosting Multnomah County Youth Forum, and we're going to have some great speakers, including Lamar Weiss from Ask Me, who's been working so much with a lot of the protests that have been happening. Representative Akasha Lawrence Spence is going to be moderating it, and we have other members of the community that are going to be there. So that's Thursday from 3:30 to 5. And there's a Facebook event where people can go and sign up for information and be able to watch it there.
Thank you. Commissioner Stegman.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to remind folks that our East County issue forum is going to be held next December at 6 p.m. And
Commissioner Stegman,
collaborating Mike Reese.
Yeah, Commissioner, your audio cut out there for a moment. Do you want to repeat the date?
Wednesday, September 23rd at 6 p.m., East County Issue Forum. We're partnering with Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Reese, and we're going to be talking about the review of the use of force policy. We will have Sheriff Reese, Representative Gorsuch, Raising Justice, which is also known as Youth Educating Police. They have a new name, Stand Up Gresham, and some other partners. So you can get information on our East County Issue Forum Facebook page or my county Facebook page. So hope to see you all there.
Thank you. I am going to read a statement that we have written about the Guardian newspaper's account of armed groups and roadblocks that occurred last weekend in East Multnomah County. 3 years ago this week, I stood shoulder to shoulder with Corbett area residents and the Multnomah County Sheriff united in our response to the Eagle Creek fire. In our partnership, I saw the strength of this community and the love that people have for the land, for their lives, and for one another. So I'm saddened and I'm outraged that this fire season, when we are all battling to protect our communities and keep our families safe from wildfire and smoke, the Guardian newspaper is reporting that armed groups stopped men, women, and children who were traveling through the Corbett community, often as they were fleeing to safety. I will absolutely not tolerate vigilantism of any kind in Multnomah County, especially when it further traumatizes people escaping disaster. Additionally, I am deeply concerned about the reports that the words of some Multnomah County Sheriff staff were interpreted by some residents as support or encouragement for roadblocks and vigilante patrols. If that turns out to be true, it is categorically unacceptable. And I'm asking the sheriff to further review these allegations and report back to the Board of County Commissioners on what unfolded. But I also must ask, and I urge you to ask, what has changed in these last 3 years? Disinformation, scapegoating, and the unfounded fear of others, encouraged and normalized by falsehoods and hate from the White House and amplified on Facebook, is as dangerous as anything we have ever faced. And that is why catastrophic fires that brought us together are now driving us apart. Together, we survived the Eagle Creek fire. And the resurgent Columbia River Gorge is a testament to our ability to rise. But as Oregonians and as residents of Multnomah County, we must stamp out this division and hate as forcefully as we have done the fires. Thank you. And that concludes today's regular board meeting. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.